This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
I'm Roby Brock. Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. It was a big day for Western Arkansas. Fort Smith has a new military mission. Fort Smith will be home to a foreign military pilot training center of the United States Air Force, initially bringing more than 500 military personnel and an estimated 300 dependent families to the city during the next 2 years. It was announced Wednesday that U.S. Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall has signed the final record of decision to place the unique operation at Ebbing Air National Guard Base, located adjacent to the Fort Smith Regional Airport. Ebbing, which is the home to the 188th Wing in Fort Smith, was selected on June 8th of 2021 by then Acting Secretary of the Air Force, John Roth, to be the long-term pilot training center supporting F-16 and F-35 fighter planes purchased by Singapore, Switzerland, and other countries participating in the Foreign Military Sales Program. This new training center will bring about 900 military members and their families to the Fort Smith region. The U.S. Air Force anticipates moving approximately 230 personnel to the base, and the Republic of Singapore will have 300 military personnel with 300 dependent families in the region. This is good news on the heels of some bad news for the Fort Smith region. Earlier this week, Van Buren learned that Tyson Foods would close a local processing plant there that would result in almost 1,000 job losses. We'll talk about the good news and the bad news next, after this word from our sponsors with Senator Justin Boyd, Republican of Fort Smith. Stay tuned. Talk Business and Politics Daily is brought to you by Wright Lindsay Jennings Law Firm, Impact Management Group, and these sponsors.
We proudly deliver reliable, affordable, responsible power across Arkansas. But demand for electricity is strained by the elimination of sources we need for always-on reliability. And adding intermittents like wind and solar cannot replace workhorses like coal and natural gas that we all count on. Power must be balanced for your needs and our mission. Reliable, affordable, responsible. We're the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas.
Connection. It's the heart of what we do. It's why we work to better the communities where we live and work. It's why we're expanding to get people connected and create digital equity programs that support affordable internet and digital literacy. We're leaders for positive change. From the way we empower our people, clients, and communities to the way we care for our planet. We live our values every day. We're Cox Communications, and we're pleased to connect with you.
Together we can create an Arkansas that places children and families at the very top of the agenda.
We can create the type of Arkansas that we have always imagined.
Arkansas Advocates as an organization is the glue that can put all those families' voices together.
Welcome back to the program. Joining me now, Senator Justin Boyd, Republican of Fort Smith. It is Bow Tie Wednesday, as you can tell by his outfit, not my outfit. Welcome to the program, Senator. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, thank you. I'm looking forward to visiting with you.
So my first question has nothing to do with a particular vote or a particular piece of legislation, but in the Arkansas State Senate, Boyd, B-O-Y-D, is the first name that gets called on every roll call vote. How intimidating is that? Is there any pressure? You always have to put yourself on the record first.
Well, you don't always have to put your record on the first, but it's also advantageous because I set the tone for what happens what happens next, right? So if people are waiting to see what somebody does, that initial yay or nay or pause, whatever it is, kind of sends a signal, hey, this is a way to go. So I was really a lot more nervous about it initially, but now that the pressure's been on, I've learned to live with it.
Basically what you're saying is you lead the Senate is what you're telling me. I'm putting words in your mouth there. I'm going to tell Bart Justin Boyd is the man to follow in the Arkansas Senate.
No, that is not exactly what I'm saying. Senator Hester is doing a fine job leading the Senate. I'm just saying I lead the way when we call the roll.
Fair enough. All right. It has been a good week and a bad week for the Fort Smith Van Buren region. You represent the Fort Smith Van Buren area there. Obviously, it's a big regional part of the state's economy. Bad news in that Tyson Foods announced it's going to close a plant. I think 969 workers are going to get laid off, so close to 1,000. But the good news is there's a military mission coming to Fort Smith, and it's going to create hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs, either directly or indirectly. So maybe tell me what you're hearing from some of the members of the community up there and some of your constituents about how to handle all the good news and the bad news.
Well, we're excited about the F-35 project. This is the community's been working on that and been behind that for months now, really probably years if you want to measure it that way. And it's going to be a significant impact for the community. It's going to be up to $1 billion economic impact. I've heard it likened to an equivalent of having a Toyota or car manufacturer plant moving into the community. And so it was a very big day in Fort Smith with the record of decision being signed by the Air Force. On the other note, obviously no one is happy when you hear of a plant closing. Tyson has been reorganizing and restructuring their business for a while. It was, we are told it is not a reflection on the community. I don't know that you can, completely take lemons and turn them into lemonade. The good news is there are lots of openings in other areas in Fort Smith where I'm hopeful that people who do not want to relocate with Tyson, that they will have other opportunities, whether it's Simmons or Bachoco or other industries within Fort Smith. I'm confident that there are openings to absorb a lot of the people, but nobody is excited about the news of Tyson.
Tim Allen, who is the head of the Fort Smith Regional Chamber of Commerce up there, George McGill, the mayor of Fort Smith, obviously a former colleague of yours in the Arkansas House as well. Both of those guys seem to have a pretty good grip and certainly have a lot of experience in dealing with both the good and the bad. Maybe speak to a little bit of their leadership and just how you guys as a delegation, along with the other Fort Smith legislators like Jay Richardson and others, how y'all work together on some of these regional things.
I think we do work together. I mean, the legislature has passed legislation. We've got a piece of legislation coming up. I think it's still in the works. I don't think it's crossed the finish line, but it's going to be easier for spouses or actually military members of spouses to get licensed in the state of Arkansas. So if you're coming from another state, it will make that easier. We are working on college tuition for airmen and other people in the military and providing benefits. So I think we all know and are sensitive and work together to do those things. I think that we communicate with one another, and we huddle when we need to. But I think we are very blessed to have the community leader, Tim Allen. I think he has done a great job of bringing us together and making sure we know what's going on, especially at the right moments in time. Nobody sings the praises of Fort Smith and Western Arkansas the way that Mayor McGill does. And so we are, blessed to have his leadership and him cheering on and making everyone feel welcome when they come visit our city and our region.
You've got the F-35 project that we talked about is going to go on Ebbing Air Force Base, which adjoins the Fort Smith Regional Airport there. They're close right next to each other. I guess if things could work out, maybe we could put a spaceport there if the feasibility study works out. Tell me a little bit about that bill. It's raised a lot of eyebrows as to why does Arkansas need a spaceport? I'm not necessarily saying it's going to go to Fort Smith. I'm just saying you're one of the co-sponsors on it. What's that bill all about, and why do you think we need to do a feasibility study on it?
Well, our previous executives convened a transportation council. Our future mobility council is what it was called. And one of the recommendations out of that was that we needed to do a feasibility study for a spaceport. And there is support. I didn't just come up with it on my own. I was approached by somebody and a proposal was made. It turns out, just at a cursory glance of the state of Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, Fort Smith, and Blytheville are what I have been told would be the most likely locations. But that said, that's why you do a feasibility study. You have to go in and you look at those things. My number one concern is I've told anybody, stay out of the airspace for the F-35s. I'm not going to be, supportive of anything that interferes with the airspace from that standpoint. But again, that's why we do a feasibility study and we look at where it is. So you have space travel is becoming a private industry. And why would we not want to be on the forefront? I mean, we have aeronautic expertise in this state. We're centrally located in the United States. And we have a workforce that is ready, willing, and able. And why would we not want to give serious consideration to that? I mean, for economic reasons.
I apologize if you're hearing barking dogs in the background. I'm in my home studio, and I've just had a 10th grader come home from school. And so she's getting greeted by 3 dogs, 2 large, 1 small, but they're happy to see her, apparently. Lastly, you had a non-controversial bill that sailed through the Senate today, kind of dealing with PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers. And that has been a controversial issue in the past. You're a pharmacist by training, so I'm real interested. Kind of where are we in the PBM debate in Arkansas? Kind of where do things stand around PBMs?
Okay, so PBMs are pharmacy benefit managers. They're kind of couched as the middle guy in between the health plan and you at the point of sale, you being the patient at the point of sale in the pharmacy. And so, originally they were there they laid the groundwork for quick adjudication of claims, and they do a great job of that. But then they also started adding other services, pharmacy benefit management, such as, which drugs go on formulary or which drugs might need a prior authorization. So things that might help contain costs. But they grew. They are big. The 3 of them dominate the market. They have, I've heard anywhere from, 70 something percent to 80% of the market share. And so that is an issue. So, but at the same token, the price of drugs have really started to grow since PBMs have been involved. And so one of the things that is going on, and it is specifically related to this legislation that passed today. So there is oftentimes a rebate, especially not really on generic drugs, which we think of as generally not that expensive. There are exceptions to that, but expensive brand name medications. I mean, some of these drugs are $1,000, $5,000. And so that's the list price. That's what the pharmacy is paying. And up to 49% of that is not really the drug company. It's the rebates in the middle that are being used to negotiate placement on a formulary. Okay. And so this legislation today was really about the patient. So I've stayed kind of on the sidelines on a lot of these quote PBM fights because they were really between, the pharmacy on some level and the PBM. This one really didn't have anything to do with the pharmacy as much as it had to do directly with our patients. And so that's why I felt like I could be involved. I don't want to put words in Representative Akers' mouth, but he's the other pharmacist in our legislature, and we understand the lingo, and we're able to explain it and help people understand what the legislation did. So this is limited to commercial plans, and it's also really limited to those with co-insurance and deductibles. So not like a copay where it's $5, but if it's a percentage, so you come in and it's $1,000 and you have to pay 10%, it would be 10% would $100. So what this would do is at the point of sale, it would force the price to be whatever the net price is, not that list price. So if it's $1,000 list price and the net price is $500, then it would be a $50 copay. So there are a lot of patient advocates that are supportive of this. West Virginia has adopted this, and we don't have all the outcomes data, but it seems to be working okay in West Virginia. And so this was really kind of a PBM versus pharma fight more than a pharmacy fight.
Gotcha. And just last question on this subject matter. I mean, in lieu of the U.S. Supreme Court decision that kind of upheld the Arkansas law on PBMs, is there anything else that you feel like needs to be done in that particular area of the industry?
I think Arkansas is on the forefront. I mean, we are right up there with Kentucky is another one who's on the forefront. I would say Maryland has done a lot of things. West Virginia has done a lot of things. So we have made lots of progress. We've licensed PBMs, and we're in a good position compared to other states, and that's good for patients.
All right. He is Senator Justin Boyd, Republican of Fort Smith. Good news for you guys today. Go celebrate with that Fort Smith delegation and get on back there to Fort Smith and start talking to some more people in the community.
Yeah.
I got a lot of work to do despite getting the good news today.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you having me. I've been wondering when I was going to have the opportunity to be on with you.
You and 134 other members all the time. So, all right, we're back with more right after this word from our sponsors. Talk Business and Politics Daily is brought to you by Wright Lindsay Jennings Law Firm, Capital Advisors Group, and these sponsors.
One of the things that I really liked about UAMS College of Health Professions is that they set me up for success. I chose UAMS because I felt like it was a great place to work. My grandmother was diagnosed at UAMS for multiple myeloma, and I felt like it would be a great way to pay back the place that helped my grandmother so much. And that's why I went in the healthcare field in the first place, is to help someone just like they've helped my grandmother.
For your education and healthcare needs, choose UAMS.
This is what we work for. The moments you live for. The joy. The heart. The wonder. At Entergy, we're dedicated to powering each moment. Today and for future generations. So we're leading the way with a cleaner, more reliable power grid to power every day. Because these moments matter. We power life. Entergy.
So before we go, just a few items of note from the state capitol today. Governor Sarah Sanders said late this afternoon she wants to study the state employee classification and compensation system by the end of the year. She stated she was opposed to an $80 million pay plan increase for state workers and wants to find ways to shrink more of the state government workforce that stands right now a little under 23,000 workers. A bill to regulate how libraries and librarians put books out for the public to use. Senate Bill 81 passed the House. The Senate has to adopt an amendment put on in the House. If that occurs, then the bill heads to the governor's desk. Also today, the two education committees met jointly to consider a host of lottery-related legislation. We'll have details on our website, talkbusiness.net, tomorrow. And that is all for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.